Hi, Julie Jones from SSB Performance, Smarter, Stronger, Better Mindset Training, here with this week's Mindset Made Simple Tip of the Week, brought to you by Game Day Sportswear and On Point Pest Control. This week we're talking about using our vision to our advantage. I start off with a quote: "What you focus on grows, what you think about expands, and what you dwell upon determines your destiny." That's by Robin Sharma. Focus. This is one of the most talked about topics in mental performance, of course, in performance in general. We need to be focused to do what we want to do. In fact, my favorite strength guy, Chris Lewandowski, says that the number one rule for peak performance is being available. He talks about physical availability. You can't be hurt, or you have to be healthy. I should put it in a positive term. We need to be able to show up and get where we need to go. It doesn't make any difference how good we are if we can't get to the line to start the race. I add on to that we also need to be available cognitively and mentally, because if we're not there, figuratively and literally, we're not going to be able to do what we want to do. What we focus on expands. What we focus on determines our behaviors. Let's take that one step further and talk about visual focus, what we're doing with our eyes and how that affects our performance. In tip 58, I have it linked. If you go to the website, ssbperformance.com/blog, and you click into this tip, tip 58 is linked. And I talked about in that tip a study by Emily Balcetis, who is a professor at NYU. And she took individuals and had them focus on a finish line. In a race, in a walking exercise, she was trying to see if what we looked at changed our motivation, changed our biological function. And she found this, and these are the statistics. The people that focused solely on the finish line compared to those that didn't, of course, there's a group that didn't do this, perceived the finish line was 28% closer, so it seemed like it was easier, if you will, in that way. They got there 23% faster, so they actually moved faster. And when we're walking, of course, we can move 23% faster. I'm not sure that that's possible for sprinting, but nonetheless, if we're running a long race, we may be able to implement this. And even if we are running a short race, if we get just a little bit faster, that's a good thing. And they reported the experience was 17% less physically demanding than those who were focused on other things. It's not really about the finish line. So how can we tie this to something other than going to a finish line? Because in most sports, there's not a finish line. You're going back and forth, or in softball, you're running one place. Of course, first base might be your finish line, but lots of times you're looking at the ball and different things. How can we tie this to everything else that we do and use the information that she found to help us perform better? Well, again, it's not about the finish line. It's about what our vision does to our autonomic nervous system. When we are focused on certain things, it changes the way that our body functions. In fact, think about this. When we see something in our vision, maybe it's a mistake made by somebody else, maybe it's somebody walking up to the field that adds a little bit of pressure, maybe you're just like me. Today I Venmo'd like $600 to a guy and he said he didn't get it. And as soon as I saw that email, of course, my heart rate goes up. When we see things, it changes our breathing rate, things that stress us out. It changes our heart rate. And it starts with our vision and then goes into all the other systems that make us go into a little bit of a panic mode. So our vision is so vital to managing our state, if you will. Power move number 3. We can manage our breathing and breathe like a champion. Well, according to all this research, we also can manage our vision and help ourselves perform better. When we get locked into one thing, our systolic blood pressure, the top number, goes up. That's when it pumps out, from what I understand. I'm not a doctor. But our bodies get ready. It puts us in go mode, right? Fight or flight. So it raises our heart rate, blood pressure goes up, and we are getting ready. It's like that scenario that I talk about when our belly we get butterflies in our belly. What's happening there is our body's getting ready. It's taking the blood from rest and digest in our abdomen. We don't need it there at the time. And it's moving it to our big muscles. And even perceiving that as a good thing changes the way we perform. So our vision changes the way our body works. It can put us into our sympathetic nervous system. It can also take us out of it and move us to our parasympathetic nervous system, which we'll talk about in just a second. But it's a good thing in most cases that when we zone in, we're charging ourselves up. It's good unless we stay there for too long, and we'll get that in just a second. But if we can learn to use our vision to our advantage, it can give us a huge competitive advantage. So how do we do this? If we can get locked in, this is one simple way. If we can get locked in on a target, I just sent a target to one of my coaches that I work with. In fact, if you go to the link in whatever you're reading this on, if you read this on something, there's a target that you can go to sspperformance.com, MMST downloads. There's a target there you can download. If we zone in on a target for 30 to 90 seconds, it can enhance our ability to focus. Why? When we direct our focus on one thing, it causes the release of neurochemicals that increase arousal. Our blood pressure and things like dopamine are released, and this helps not only our arousal, as we talked about just a second ago, but it also increases our motivation. That's a good thing. So we feel more motivated, we're more focused, we sort of turned on that focus tool. Now we focused on this target, now we go out to the plate to hit, or we do whatever we're going to do. And I know that this can't work in every sport, but there's a lot of things and a lot of times that we have 30 seconds where we can turn this on and then use it later, even if you're sitting at your desk. Andrew Huberman from Stanford says that our target should be about as far as it would be away from us when we're performing. So he even contends that if we're sitting at a desk and we need to like dial in, if we focus on something that's as far away as our paper, then that gets our system ready to focus on that. If we're looking at a pitch, maybe we need to have it a little bit further away. Where are you going to see the ball? Where do you really pick up the ball? Is it halfway to the plate? And that's something you can talk about with your athletes and different things. If it's the basketball hoop, then you know how far that is away from the elbow or the foul line or whatever it might be. But if we stay there too long, it could be a problem. If we stay focused in for too long, it may not be good, because that means we're staying in fight or flight for a really long time. When we get into this state, it makes us sometimes feel a little bit of added pressure. So if we start to feel that pressure, what do? We know we need to go through our different attentional focus areas. We can't be narrow external all the time. We have to go broad. We have to go internal sometimes. But when we get stuck in this narrow external where we're drive, I've got to do this, I have to, woulda, shoulda, coulda, boom, what do? Well, we can use our vision to back us out as well. And one way we can do that is we can throw ourselves into panoramic view mode. And what this does is it relaxes the eyes, it relaxes our blood pressure, it relaxes everything, and turns us back into our parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us feel calm and in control. How do we do it? You can do it right now. Put your arms straight out, take your fingers and wiggle them around and see if you can see them out of the corner of your eyes. You're pulling everything in that you can. You're looking straight ahead, and you still see what you're looking at. You've just widened your field of vision. And every time we widen our field of vision, we are relaxing everything else, including our eyes. What does this do? It allows us to take in information faster as well, because we know if we're narrowed in too much, we're missing a lot of information, and sometimes that's where we need to be. But a lot of times we do need to be able to pull in information from the environment so that we can make good decisions. So every time that you practice this, of course, you don't have to put your arms out to your side, and you don't even have to have your athletes do that. But to start, that's a good way to do it. How far can you see? Can you see your fingers in your periphery, in your panoramic mode? And if you can, you are relaxing your vision and your nervous system. Sort of crazy if you think about it. So if we dial in and we focus on something specifically for 30 to 90 seconds, that turns our focus on. It's like, okay, Julie, time to get to work. But if we need to back it out, we can do that just as easily. It's like our breath. The quicker we breathe, the more alert we are. The slower we breathe, the more relaxed we are. This is just another way or another thing that we can manage to help manage our performance. Musicians use this often. They learn their notes, and when they're learning their notes, they've got to look at the music. You have to look measure by measure. Where are the flats? Where are the sharps? What do we need to be doing? Where's the repeats? What's the tempo? And we've got to be focused in on that music. But once we learn the music, we keep the notes in front of us anyway. You never see the Cleveland Orchestra without a stand and music in front of it. You never see a conductor who knows every note in the whole thing without turning pages as they're going through a movement or concerto, whatever it might be. They've got it down in front, but it's there and they're looking at it, but they're also able to take in information around them, which helps the music flow. It makes them more functional. It makes them able to sort of feel and get the, just the energy of those around them. So they're focused on the music, it's in front of them, but they can see the things that are around, they're relaxed, and they can feel what they need to feel as well. And that makes it better for them and for the audience. In fact, they may pull in information from the audience that can help them get feelings to allow them to move through whatever they're doing even more confidently or calmly, whatever it might be. But now we have to figure out, where do we need to be when we need to be there? And you know that in the game of when, or in the office even, when you need to be focused and when you need to be relaxed. It takes practice, just like practicing breathing. Have your athletes, have those you lead, practice dialing in. Put a target up somewhere. And then have them practice getting wide and enlarge that field of vision. Because what we know is not only will this help them with what they're looking at, and we can be more intentional about what we're looking at, but it's going to change the way their nervous system works. Sympathetic, fight or flight, or are we going to go to our parasympathetic where we can chill and do what we need to do to gather what we need to gather in order to be our best? That's the question. So, what are you going to focus on this week? How will you work on training your focus, your vision specifically, to improve your performance? It's for all of us, not just those that are on the field. But this can benefit every single one of us. If you have questions about this, or you'd like to share this with your team, or have somebody else, even more importantly, share this with your team, reach out. I would love to connect. Julie J at ssbperformance.com, and go to ssbperformance.com/MMST. Mindset Made Simple Tips, downloads, and download a target today. Find the link in this post. Until next week, have a great week, and let's focus on our vision. Sounds sort of like a double thing, but it can change our performance for the better. Have a great week.